Okay, here we go. Light of day on Reiki Radio. Hello, ladies.
Hi.
Hello.
How are we feeling today?
Real good.
Yeah, take
Real
two.
good.
Real good. Before we get into it, some people are very familiar with you by now because I think this is our third episode that we've done together. Is it the fourth?
I think it's the fourth.
Wow. Dang, time is flying.
I was counting on my fingers.
But for anybody that's new, could you just let us know who you are and what you practice?
D. Hi, my name is DeAndrea. I from
Ritual House.
Yeah. I was gonna say you can edit that because I forgot what the hell I was even saying. Yes, DeAndrea of the Ritual House at theritualhouse.com. I am the astrologer, energy healer, and I create spelled ritual baths and glamour mist and oils.
Beautiful. And how you doing, Ames? Let us know who you are, what you do.
I am good. My name is Amy Sage, and I'm a Reiki master practitioner, and I have a practice here in San Diego. And I also like to infuse crystals into my energy work as well.
Yeah, that's the part that's so interesting to me. The crystal grid infusions, which again, if you're new to these episodes, the Light of Day, which we have once a month, where we talk about the energies that we're going in based on the movement of the sun. So we kind of work through the energies of all the signs. And before we get in it today, I already know, but come on. What came up for you both during Libra season?
Well, Libra season, I've been reflecting on the past few weeks. And it's been kind of interesting comparing it to Virgo season, where Virgo is like, all right, get the business ready, let's get going, details, organize. And Libra season, I had some new clients come in, which was awesome. But then it was kind of more just like kind of blah. You know what I mean? It's kind of like sailing through the rest of the next few weeks, like, all right, what's going on here? Like, what am I going to focus on next? And I kind of got, I don't know, almost a little bit bored with Libra season, kind of waiting for it to end, jump into Scorpio season.
Yeah. D, how did you just mute yourself?
Sorry, I cleared my throat and I forgot to press play again. Pretty much the same for me. I think since this is our second time talking about this, I think reflecting on that I pulled up something for Yolanda a few days ago on our little group chat, and it was talking about how this season was like not forcing any achievements. Mm-hmm. And I think you go from Virgo season to wanting to achieve, accomplish, get shit done, to this almost stale, lazy, superficial, just being type of thing. And I'm not saying that that's not a necessary thing that we need, because we do need that moment to where we just kind of float. But sometimes floating is more arduous than swimming. You know what I mean? Than seeing where it is that you're going and having a destination that you're trying to arrive to. It's almost like just sitting there hoping a shark doesn't come and eat you.
That's one of the cool things, though, like you saying that, I think is one of the cool things about astrology, because we come to understand not only what these different energies may lend, but also the benefit and the challenges in them, and how our personalities may struggle more in different energies, where someone else, it may be like Libra season was like their time to shine, honey. But yeah, I too struggled in this season. But for me, like I shared with you guys, it was like exhaustion. My mind was all over the place. I had a hard time with balancing my scales, and I was just tired.
And you know what? It's almost, now that you bring in the scales, it's almost like what, we know what the equinox brings in. We know about balancing of, the light and the shadow. We know about all these balancing things, but I think sometimes that's such a broad view that when it comes down to you, you're like, what exactly does that mean? So it kind of puts you in this wandering in the dark kind of thing. Like, okay, like, am I not balanced? Like, I'm really exhausted. The same. Even just had a client text me like, what is going on? You know, P.S. It's still Libra season for us. You guys will hear this in Scorpio season. But I just had a client text me like, oh my God, I just don't know what's going on. I'm exhausted. Everybody around me, or a lot of people I'll say around me, are just having the same experience. And I don't know. This is an I don't know season, which anybody who knows me knows that my worst feeling is the I don't know feeling. I cannot stand it.
Yeah. And that's one of the things too. I think that was part of, it felt like I was being forced into the balance I needed. I mean, which was kind of funny because you guys know I went on vacation during that time, but I did a lot of work to prepare for vacation, came home and then hit the ground running. And it was like, my body just shut down. Like, girl, if you don't lay it down and take a nap, like it has to be done. So, and it's interesting too, because you don't like that floating part, but it was like, you couldn't escape it. So it kind of felt like balance in some ways was forced, but it was uncomfortable because we tend not to lean into what we need as much as like what our tendencies may be. You know what I mean? And your tendency is get stuff done. All three of us really are get stuff done. And so to be in a space of like, can't really do it. That's
can't
uncomfortable.
really.
And it felt stagnant too, honestly. Like I felt very unproductive. Very unproductive.
You know, we're talking about productivity. And I'm like, what did I do? I'm like, oh, I did very Venusian things. I redecorated my room. That's it. You know.
It's just so people know she said that because Venus is the ruler of Libra. But, you know, the thing is, I will say I was able to do, though, as much as I don't like feeling like I'm just sitting, I was able to acknowledge, like, remember one day I was like, I need to work on this thing, but my mind is not in it, so I'm not even going to try. So there was this space where I did acknowledge, even though I maybe didn't want to just be still, it had to be done. But yeah, and again, to our benefit, right? Because I say that to you all the time. Like sometimes like, D, just sit and integrate. Like we need it. But yeah, it was a tough one.
This girl always telling me to integrate. It is, to me, it's the most uncomfortable thing when you feel like you've been pressing at something, and then like you're waiting to see the fruits of your labor. And then the universe is like, nah, you good, fam. Then you're like, it kind of like leaves you like going crazy a little bit.
But this, you kind of made me think of, which I know you're going to share when we get to our Light of Day segment, that stroke of genius that comes after the waiting. So please don't forget to talk to us about that. So yeah, Libra season, you got that you were necessary. Love the Libras, but you know, moving right along.
I'm not going that far, but yeah, moving right along.
So I want to say, kidding. Well, I have to ask that, like, for as much as it may have been uncomfortable in some spaces for us, do you feel like there was anything that did illuminate or something that you did learn, or even having to be in a space you didn't want to be in? Like, did anything come up for you in particular?
I think for me, a lot of it was learning how to trust that I am in the right place that I'm at right now, even though I feel uncomfortable in it. And even though I have expectations of what I should be doing in it, I needed to let that go and work hard at letting that go and just be in what I'm supposed to be right now. So I think for me, it was a reminder of being present and not being worried about anything in the future or pondering about things in the past.
That's a good one. This seems like a lot of presence for you in this, yeah. What were you going to say, Dee?
I was going to say, if we're being extremely transparent, no.
Oh, no, nothing came up.
Mm-mm.
I feel like though, it's just nothing's coming to mind, but I feel like
social for you. You've been extremely social.
Honey, man, Libra season was so social for me. And you know, that is a struggle for me, which was part of what caused me to be so exhausted. I mean, yes, it was a very, very social season for me, which is extremely outside of my norm. So, yep. But I would say what it really gave me that Libra gift of, I would say, relationship. So it really caused me to examine the value of relationships and why I needed to show up even in the times where I didn't want to. Because, honey, I was tired.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were you going to say? I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I don't remember. Oh, no, I was going to say that I'm okay too, like not having anything come up. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm always having something come up. Oh my God, this person came in, or this guy came in, or this is going on, which, you know, like a client hit me up and he was having this problem with what he said was, I'm having trouble with something you've guided me to do. And I said, okay, well, what is that? He was like, you know, I'll sit there and I'll just like try to go within, and I just feel like I'm talking to myself. And like, that's just weird for me. And now that we're sitting here talking, I'm like, you know, that's okay. You are talking to yourself. You are the universe. You are like everything that you are trying to connect to is done through you. So yeah, you will feel like that. Keep at it. You don't always have something come up. Sometimes the whole point is to just be, and yeah, it's uncomfortable. And that's what this season for me kind of was. It was just like, I don't really know what was happening. I was just kind of there.
I think that's like a really big thing you point out for all of us. Like, how do we allow ourselves to be in spaces or energies that aren't necessarily what we want, you know? Like, how can we see the necessity, or how can we just kind of be comfortable in it? And I'm not, you know, more so that, like, when there are times where in Virgo season where it felt very productive, like, ooh, yes, and that's an energy we all enjoy. But then for that pendulum to kind of swing or ease down, and then, yeah, no, this isn't what I would choose, but how do I just be with it rather than resist it? So do you guys feel like for you, is it more of a mental thing where you have to talk yourself into it, or how do you do that? Oh no, you went mute again, girl. Nope. Mm-mm. There we go.
I think that I am pressing the damn button. I think I enjoy feeling like I'm being productive. And I think that I've been working probably since August on being productive and not just busy. You know, I've been like writing things down and like only attacking one thing at a time and like getting things done. And there's a sense of accomplishment that comes from that.
I think that's what came up for me too. I noticed where I wasn't necessarily completing projects or tasks in the way that I wanted to, but I was taking a lot of notes. So like, even in those spaces of not doing, little insights would come through, and I just took the notes, and I'm like, it'll come back around later type of thing. What about you, Ames?
I really do have to talk myself into doing things sometimes, especially because I've gone through this year of transformation, and I really had to force myself from being super busy, super productive constantly to making myself not be that way anymore. So I'm coming out of the, okay, it's okay to be lazy, to, all right, you really do need to be productive now, but in your own way. So for me, I really do have to talk myself into doing things.
And I think too, Ames, like, you've been working for someone. Like, it's easy to have someone give you a task and you know what you have to do and you complete that task because that person is paying you. That's an easier position to be in than kind of being free and having to create your own task and having to know what these tasks are put in place for. especially just from this blank canvas. That's like, it's extremely mentally exhausting. It's energetically exhausting. And sometimes you do just have to be like, I don't even know right now. You know what I mean? Like and that's why I think like it's so good to have how we have our friendships, because having somebody say like, no, I get it. Like, I know what that feels like. I have been there. Sometimes you need to just take that break.
You know, now that you both say that too, before we go into our day break, I have to ask you about this in the spirit of Scorpio season. What or how do you both manage what we may call energetic shifts or our death cycles, like those spaces where you know there's some kind of release, some kind of change happening before you come out on the other side? And do you feel like you're on the verge of any of that?
Oh yeah, for sure. I feel like sometimes I'm already in the shift and then I recognize I'm in it, or sometimes it's easier for me to identify it when other people are going through it, like when Dee was going through it, like, hey girl, are you shifting right now? But I don't know. I think when you have like the end goal in mind, and especially like from my own little world, because everything is transforming so much, I've shifted so much this year. Energetically my vibrations are completely different, that honestly, I'm just open to being in that next shift. Like, I want it to happen. I really do, because I know that I need to get to different frequencies and different levels, and I understand it's going to be uncomfortable to get there. So I just kind of have to remind myself that if I'm feeling uncomfortable or weird or whatever, that this is part of it. So I kind of just have to like affirm that this is what I'm going through. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it totally makes sense. I mean, I went through a long period of resisting my shifts, which made them like, I was like blowing up, mad, angry, like literally cursing out the universe, like, what the F do you want from me and all of this. And when I finally got to letting myself understand why the shifts were happening or the necessity, it did make, I still didn't like it. I mean, you know, and I still don't like it today, but it allows me to kind of sit with it and go with like, okay, what is shifting? What's coming up for me? What am I holding on to? Like, it makes me more now reflective of anything else, and then like allowing it, being like kind of being a part of the shift rather than fighting it.
You know, it just popped in my head, and I cannot believe that I did not even think about this, is so Mars rules two signs. It rules Aries and it rules Scorpio. And, you know, it drives you deep. It forces you to dig. It severs things. It pierces things. It gets to the bottom of things. And it rules my fourth house, or it's in my fourth house, which is Libra. And as soon as the sun hit that, you know, Amy sent me a message and she's like, oh, I pulled some cards. And I was like, oh my God, I pulled some cards too. And, you know, we're chatting. And then this card like super triggered me. And it caused me to actually like, you know, the fourth house of your chart is like, it rules the home. It's the deepest part of like who you are. And I had to do a lot of child work from when I was a child, which was a long time ago. And so like that dig deep, that sun hitting my Mars and like highlighting that, like literally, that was the work I did in Libra season. And maybe I didn't need to do anything else. Maybe like that wasn't enough.
Now you say it,
big work. Yeah.
Now you say it, I can't believe you forgot that. I can't believe
I know.
I
can't believe it. I know.
That was big.
Yeah.
It was huge. So yeah, I did do something in Libra. Libra's worth a nickel at least, as my grandma would say.
That is so funny. Okay, well, since we've kind of touched on it a little bit, I guess we should go into our day break.
Yay!
Yes, honey. Okay, so Scorpio season. Before you give us the goods on Scorpio, can we just all just acknowledge the cringe that happens for a lot of people when they hear Scorpio? Like a lot of people, even if you say like, what's your sign? And people say, I'm a Scorpio. And people are like,
and I don't know why. You know what I mean? I think there are certain signs that get too good of a rap. And I think there are certain signs that, don't. And I don't really, I think most of like, what pop astrology, I think we got so like caught up in like the sun sign stuff and like how people paint these pictures. And I think
maybe it's the symbol though. Do you think maybe it's like something got attached to the idea of a scorpion that people started freaking out about?
Here, if you want me to be honest, what I think when like the, Pluto is the ruler and Pluto means death and I'm going to be dark and broody, and like people like really paint it like Scorpios like that, and they love to attach themselves to that, which I think allows them to embody those things, which can turn a lot of people off. But if you like really meet some and they're comfortable and they allow you to see who they really are versus like this mask that they want to show you because they feel like they need to associate with what society like calls them, like they think it's cool. It's the same thing with like Virgos, like being neat and all put together. All y'all are not neat and put together. Like all you guys aren't so busy and worky. You know what I mean? All Pisces aren't like dreamy and like aloof. We're fucking not. Sorry. You know what I mean? Like, and all fucking Aquariuses aren't aliens. Just like everybody, like, they find that one thing and they attach it, and then all of a sudden all of these people become these things. And I think it's a misfortune.
Yeah. I think even if I think about the Scorpios that I've known in life,
I'll never date one. I will never date one. I'm married, but I will never date one. I have, and I will never do it again.
And see.
But I like them.
Well, that's the thing. So all the ones that I've known are very, actually a lot of them are really funny. A lot of the Scorpios I know are really funny, very generous, and a lot of great qualities across the board. Where I could see with the Scorpios I've known that make people uncomfortable is their intensity directly linked to love and like that type of emotion, especially if it's, someone that they are drawn to. I think a lot of times, like the ones I've known, again, like they've gone through situations where they don't understand that people don't have that same depth or don't have that same
understanding
level of connection that they have, and it bothers them and it hurts them and it pisses them off. But it's, again, that understanding that not everybody is the same. We don't even all function the same.
That makes me wonder if their Venus is in Scorpio. Venus in Scorpio type, or people who have that aspect or that, that setup is, it can be a very obsessive in love type of thing. They want to own you. They want to paralyze you. They want to, get you and know that you belong to them. It's a possessive type of.
But that's the crazy thing of perspective, right? Because like we could look at it and see it that way, but someone who is that way sees it as just like, I love you. It's right. Just that simple. Like I just
and
love
you should be glad. You should be glad that they love you because you got chosen. Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So anyway.
But some people love that.
Yes.
My sister sent me this clip today of like Sin Santana and Tiffany from I Love New York. I don't know if you remember that show from back in the day. And Sin Santana asked her like, well, what do you look for in a guy? And she's like, I need a man to be obsessed with me. Like, cause I travel a lot and I need to know that he will be following me wherever I go. I need him to be obsessed. And I was just like, oh, wow. No, thank you. But my like, no thanks. But my Venus is an Aquarius. So
well, then that makes all
one of those
sense
things.
In the world. Okay, so what would you, or how would you describe this energy for us of Scorpio season?
Actually, I'm going to go there, but I would like to show people how we work with how I work with like what a season means in our life. So, and I asked Amy and Yolanda if I can just like do one little aspect of, you know, their chart. And I'm not telling their chart or anything, but Amy is in a 5th house perfection year. So she has Gemini ruling her 5th house, and the planet that rules Gemini is Mercury. So Mercury is her lord of the year. So everything Mercury does in the zodiac is really going to be affecting Amy more strongly than maybe myself or Yolanda. So, oh, sorry. Thought you guys were about to say something.
Oh, no, I'm listening. I'm getting my notes ready.
She really has a pen too. So Amy has Scorpio ruling her 10th house, and 10th house represents our career. It represents how we are putting ourselves out there in the world, how people see us and how we want to be seen. And the day the sun enters into Scorpio, sorry. I'm looking at my chart at the same time, people. So the day that Mercury goes retrograde is really what I wanted to say, which is on Halloween. Her ruling planet, being Mercury, is going retrograde in her 10th house. So how she wants to articulate who she is, what she's trying to do in her new business, who she's trying to say she is, that planet is going to go backwards. It's spending 2 months in her 10th house. It's spending 2 months in your 10th house. You know, so it's really allowing you the opportunity to go back, revise, revisit all these ideas that you have, how you want to present yourself, what you want to do with your business, how you want your business to look, how you harmonize your business, because you have to remember too, you have Venus right there doing the same thing, not going retrograde, but just traveling through your 10th house. You also in your natal chart have Uranus there. And Uranus is the planet of genius. It's the planet of swift changes. It's the planet of surprise. You're going to have Mercury go over your Uranus and then go back, right? So it's going to, when it retrogrades, you know, it has a period where it's moving direct, and then it stations to retrograde. So it kind of goes to a halt, and then it starts to go backwards. So all these things, this is a really important time for you to really focus on your business, to really focus on who you are and how you want to shine. You're going to have the sun there. You have Mercury there. You have Venus there. Things are going to change, and you're going to be ready to put yourself out there. It's going to really be up to you to make sure that what it is that you want to say, how it is you want to be seen, what it is you want to look like, how you want your business to look, that you've really sat down and dedicated the time to do that. It being Scorpio means that you have to do the work. Like, there's an investigative nature to Scorpio that stings things, it pierces things, it lets shit out that no longer needs to be there. So this is going to be a time for you to like really take time for you, because this is a 10th house. This is where like you stand up and you let people see who you are. It's going to be about you, and you're going to have to make sure that you take that time and come back to that place and really focus on who it is you want to be, how you want to be seen, and what you want that to look like.
Okay. That's really helpful. So then, like, when it retrogrades, I'm still doing the same thing, right? Staying focused on.
Yes.
Okay.
All you're doing is like everything that you've already said you wanted to do, and wherever you are to that point, go back and like make sure that it's true to who you are still, you know what I mean? That it looks how you want it to look. You might go back and be like, I don't want to do Reiki on people's feet anymore. Just made that up. But you might want to be like, oh, I was just going to do a foot Reiki for some people for $10. You're like, never mind. You know what I mean? Because we do say things that sound good at first, especially in the beginning. We want to do all the things.
Yeah.
And there might come a point where you refine that, where you go back and you dig deep and you say, you know what, I'm going to specialize in this thing. And you guys have that class coming up too, which is the perfect time, because actually the sun right now is still in your 9th house of higher learning, education, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, that is
and
exciting.
spiritual studies.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thank you. That's exciting.
And I just want to say one last thing too. So that all of that 18 degrees of Uranus, and you don't need to know the degrees. The 18 degrees of Uranus is exactly sextile to your sun. So your sun being in Virgo, which is another feminine sign, it's exactly sextile of that to the degree. So once that Mercury hits that, know that you're getting that help, that light, like your natural like shine is shining on that thing. So you just really want to make sure like you ground yourself in how you're not going to get this again for a minute. So you really want to just take advantage of that opportunity.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
2 months.
2 months. So publicly for everybody, and I wanted to do that like a specific thing because it kind of allows me to really like get my flow and read something versus kind of just like giving a generic like look. Depending on where that Scorpio is in your chart, different things are going to be highlighted for you. You know, Amy and Yolanda both have Aquarius rising, so it puts Scorpio in both of their 10th houses. Me, I don't have my Scorpios in my 5th house. So how this retrograde is going to affect me is going to be different than how it's going to affect Amy and Yolanda. There's just like nuances in each house of our chart. Yolanda is not in a 5th house year. And I'm just getting Amy's chart off real quick.
I'll tell them I'm in a 7th while she's pulling me up.
Yes, tell them.
Dang it. No, it's been good, but I mean, it really has been reflected, but I'm ready to get on what they get on.
I think the luminaries, like when you're in a luminary year, either the sun or the moon, like it's moving so fast. And I think especially the sun, and Yolanda and I are both in a sun year, even though it's different, you know, houses. So Yolanda, the sun, which is her ruler, is going to be entering in, obviously, Scorpio. So that house is highlighted for her. The sun is shining a light on how she is doing her business, maybe new things that are coming in her business. She also has Uranus in that house. There's going to be, and she has Mercury, and they're going to touch because Mercury's going to be there for 2 years. So there's going to be that moment where the sun and that Mercury kiss and, you know, carry on. So for Yolanda, I would tell her that there's something new and exciting happening. She also has her midheaven here. So there's something new and exciting happening here. The light is shining in this area of her chart. It's encouraging her to put herself out there, to experience like newness, to maybe even go to a place she's never been before. Also, once that sun and Mercury hit around November 10th, it's going to be past that that Uranus. So I would tell her around November 2nd, maybe even the 1st of November to about the 4th or 5th of November. That's when her sun is really, it's called conjunct. You guys can look that up. Conjunct Uranus. I think she's going to have this moment of genius. Like something's going to happen to where she's going to have this idea. Something's going to like hit her in a moment where she's like, oh my God, like I've been trying to figure this thing out and it just like came to me. Like it's just going to be a lightning strike. And anytime you have one Uranus, which is kind of represented by lightning, and then the sun hit it, everything's illuminated. And I think that's going to be a real important time for you to act on whatever it is that comes up for you.
Can I there's two things coming up I want to say. One, now, yes, so it's coming back to me, the conversation we had, how I said, I want the Tower card for this season, even though it's not associated with,
oh my God.
Yeah.
Yes, girl.
Yes. It's like, I know it's not associated with Scorpio, but that's what I'm feeling this season. But before we get to that card, another thing I love with what you just did, and I'm sure it'll, I want everyone else to really chew on this too, because there's this idea when Mercury goes retrograde, everybody's like, oh, it's awful. Everything, shut it down. Like, oh, Mercury's retrograde, run. But with what you just shared about what is going on with each of our charts respectively, this sounds like a great time for us to really go in and examine and look at things and all of this. So I'm really glad that you did that so that people see, one, that it's different for all of us, but it's not always just this blanket, like, go run and hide.
No, it's not. And here's the thing, like, Mercury doesn't like water. Okay. He doesn't like water. He is quick moving. He's airy. He's dry. He likes to do things fast. Water slows him down. Being stuck in emotional depthness that's not his way. He doesn't love that. So no, it's not the most fun. But if you are a mercurial person, and there's a reason why they say mercurial, being like you switch moods, is because Mercury will switch on your ass.
But I just want to highlight for them too, like people who don't know, the reason she's saying that is because we're in Scorpio season and it's a water sign and blah, blah, blah. So go ahead.
Yes. She's the teacher. Me. But no, like Mercury, he doesn't like that. And I think people will probably look back to Mercury being in Capricorn and think about, like, that was rough. And I don't mind Mercury retrogrades.
I remember a lot of people said they felt that one. Yes.
That one was one of opposing the nodes, conjunct and opposing the nodes. So when you have the South Node, Pluto and Saturn in Capricorn, and then you have Mercury going retrograde, that's a lot. And then you had Mars there too. Mars there too, I believe. Like, that is a lot of energy happening, and it was hard. The Mercury in Pisces retrograde. Mercury extremely does not like Pisces. It just doesn't like it. You guys don't like it. So the water retrogrades aren't fun. Period. It's not fun. So there will be some people who, depending on where it's hitting in your chart, might have some difficulties, associated with it. But if you look at a retrograde like this, like a boomerang pulling back, okay? So you pick up your boomerang, Mercury's going direct. Once Mercury goes retrograde, you're pulling it back. You're revising, revisiting, restructuring, doing all the and it's building up all this energy. So whatever that target is that you are trying to hit, whatever message that you are trying to send, whatever it is that you're trying to communicate, you can hit it right with a lot of power, a lot of force, and a lot of precision. So if you really take the time to work with the retrograde instead of feeling like it's working you can take advantage of the benefits that come from having the opportunity to revise things. It's like having a paper that's due and then you've already finished it, but the teacher gives you 2 extra days. You get to go back and make sure that you hit all the points that you needed to hit. Use the time constructively and it will work for you versus work against you.
So I want to just highlight for everyone, this retrograde doesn't start until the 31st of October on Halloween. So by the time this airs, we'll have about a week prior, although of course we know you may start feeling it before. So when we move into Scorpio season, and again, for people who maybe haven't caught our previous episodes, we're talking about when the sun is going into different signs. How would you describe the energy of that? Like the sun and this energy that we're moving into Scorpio generally?
Well, the sun is highlighting, we left the surface in Libra, right? Like Libra is not the deepest sign. Let's be real here. Like just speaking like real, like straight to the point. Libras aren't known to be like, deep. They learn to take something and how to flip it and make it work for them, right? But Scorpios don't like deception, right? They do not like deception. And that's the thing with Libra. Like, you learn how to manipulate, and Scorpio learns how to discern. So you've learned how to manipulate. Like, that's what we do as humans. We manipulate words so people can understand them, or so we can make them understand what it is we want them to understand. That's why I think Libras make great lawyers, right? And then we get into Scorpio, and Scorpio's like, well, why did you say that? What is it that I'm actually understanding? Oh, you said that, and this is why they're known to be deep and brooding, because that surface shit doesn't fucking work for them. Like, they want to get down to the nitty gritty. They want to investigate. They make great private investigators. They make great social workers. They want to get to the root of the problem. So having a Mercury retrograde, having the sun come in at the same time, it's shining a light on the depths that it is that you're trying to get to. It will highlight what it is that's being hidden, and it will allow you to see things that maybe you wouldn't have seen. Maybe you're too busy being social, or too busy like cleaning the house, or too busy like doing pretty things in Libra, and now the sun is like, okay, enough playtime. Let's get down to the nitty gritty.
I think when you say that too, that's probably why, even if we don't know too much about it, why even the thought of this sign can be very uncomfortable, because a lot of people don't want to look at the depth of anything, let alone ourselves, especially.
Bingo.
Yeah. So I could see like why this energy could be off-putting, but I mean, the benefit in it though, like that's the thing I love about it, I guess. And is it just, how else do we grow? How else do we evolve? How else do we understand, like really understand, unless we're willing to go to those depths?
Listen, what you just said was, you have to think about it too. Like, the people who don't like Scorpio don't like to be seen. Mm-hmm. And a Scorpio sees. They will see you. Mm-hmm. All that stuff you think you're hiding, a Scorpio has the ability to see. And a lot of people don't like to be seen. Mm-hmm. And to have somebody being able to see you, something that you are attempting to hide, people don't like being called out on their shit. People don't like that straight, direct, like to the point type of interaction, not with a stranger, and sometimes not even with someone that they consider to be close to them. So yeah, it can be extremely uncomfortable.
That's good stuff. What about you, Ames? Do you have any particular like feelings or thought around like Scorpio energy, or even just around the energy of like deep dive and transformation and these types of things?
Well, actually, I learned a lot in this episode, so thank you both, especially DeAndrea. Like, you know, each season, like, I do learn a lot more. I am honestly new to a lot of this stuff in astrology. I'm still wrapping my head around, but I understand the value of working with the energy, because it does make you more successful. It makes you understand what the fuck is going on, or it validates how you're feeling, or it just makes it purposeful, and that's what I need. So I actually learned a lot about this, and I have been thinking a lot about like, okay, what would be supportive of this season? And Rutilated Quartz is extremely supportive in what we've been talking about it too. And Rutilated Quartz, it's a clear quartz, and it's got these beautiful golden threads going through it. And it helps facilitate change of direction. It helps facilitate transformation. And it can bring passion into your projects. So you're talking about, you know, like for me, you know, if I need to refine something or do whatever, well, I'm going to work with Rutilated Quartz to help me get on that track, to help me have that strike of genius, to help me understand, you know, like if I need to change direction and what direction I need to go to. So again, also with Rutilated Quartz, it helps you understand and see what needs to happen now. And it's also a stone that you can program. So when you program the stone, you can envision yourself in it. Envision yourself like in the strands, going out into the universe and having that end goal in mind and sending that out there, and you being that magnet coming back into it. And it also infuses your body with divine light and energy And it also removes barriers to spiritual growth. And it draws off negative energy, which can be helpful. Here's a little picture of it on the screen for those that are watching. It's an absolutely beautiful stone, and it's
My
great
favorite.
for jewelry too. I know, it's amazing. It does come in other thread colors too, but I'm just talking about the golden one today. The other colors can be like a red, brown, and a copper, and a silver and black too. But this is the golden rutilated quartz. And it also cleanses and energizes your aura too. So this is actually a phenomenal stone for people to use during this Scorpio season.
I love it. I don't think I've ever seen that actually. But even though
it's one of my favorites, and I just want to say I'm glad that she picked that. I want to touch on one thing. We were talking, because I think this is so important. We were talking earlier yesterday, I believe, and maybe I should say this after you pull your card. Anyway, we were talking earlier. I'm glad you didn't pick like some black stone. I'm glad you picked something, because you may not know, but Scorpio is like, oh, we rule death and all this other stuff. And so
I wasn't thinking about any of that.
It's a lot of darkness. So I'm really glad that you picked a stone just intuitively that balanced the darkness that is attached to Scorpio, and you brought some lightness and some direction and some focus. I think that was such a great, just good.
Well, listen, now see the light in this. The Tower card in tarot. And again, it's not the card that's traditionally associated with Scorpio, but for me, just for whatever reason, I was like, this season I want a Tower. And the reason is because when I think of the Death card, it feels more progressive, like, oh yes, a transition's happening and it's soft and something's moving and like whatever, it's transforming, it's fine. But for me, it's interesting what you shared about my chart and what's going on. And you said that lightning strike, like that stroke of genius. And in this card, there's that lightning strike.
Yes.
And this card can also be.
That's what I'm saying.
But that's the beauty of this card too. A lot of people see it as just destructive, but it can also be that, like the lightning strike of like insight, like suddenly you become aware, sudden inspiration, these types of things. So, and I personally love this card because it's like, it's not giving you an opportunity to linger in the BS. It's like, listen, you're going to let this shit go. Like it is time to move on, to evolve, to move beyond, and start either from ground zero or really like come into your awareness much more than you have allowed yourself to before. It's like, there's no more resisting here. There's no more negotiating this. Something's changing, like shit or get off the pot type of thing. And I like that because I think a lot of times we need that. And again, could be really uncomfortable, but on the other side, it's always like, man, yeah, that thing afforded this opportunity, or I would have still been stuck over here if this didn't happen. Like there's so much beauty that can come from like these instant shifts or instant changes or instant flashes that are pivotal to our path and our growth and our forward direction. So, that's why
that's that card. That's beautiful. And to keep it to the Tower, it can get lonely up there. You know what I mean? And that strike, that lightning strike tearing everything down, allows you to get back with the people and meet somebody who can help you build a taller tower that can fit more people, that can accompany more things. And I think what I was trying to say without like ruining the Tower card thing was, this spiritual work, there's no box. There's only a foundation. Like you don't have to like stay within the parameters of every single thing that has been written by somebody who wrote it. Like you are allowed to go outside of this box and see things how you see them. It might speak to the one person who needed to hear exactly what you needed to say, even if it's different than everything that everyone else is saying, because they're saying the exact same thing. Like I love that. I call that, all of us has like this major Aquarius type of thing in our chart. And I think like that's the Aquarian nature, come outside the box and see like what we have to show somebody. The foundation is there. You have room to play. You don't have to stay with the lid on and the door closed. And I love that you picked that. I love that she picked the Rutilated Quartz.
Yeah,
Well,
and I have one more thing too. Oh, sorry.
No. I was just going to say, when this airs, the episode that airs before this, what you just said, Dee, reminds me so much of the woman that I interviewed, because she was doing a practice by herself. Like, she was a therapist by herself and started to incorporate Reiki in, and it became so big that she had to completely change her business. She had to change her location, get a bigger space, accommodate for more community coming in and doing something in a different way. But it went completely beyond the boundary and the limitation of where she was at one point. So yeah, anyway, when you said that, it just reminded me a lot of her story and what's evolving from that. What were you going to say, Ames?
Oh, sorry. I was just going to backtrack a little bit about the Rutilated Quartz and just add that that crystal is also an antidepressant. So it helps with loneliness. It helps to relieve anxiety and guilt and things like that. So you both had brought up the loneliness aspect, and Rutilated Quartz does help support you coming out of that.
The interesting thing about that too, not necessarily feeling lonely, but the times when we are alone, which can feel lonely at times. I was just talking to someone about this the other day. That's interesting. When we go through shifts, sometimes we do feel very isolated and alone, but the truth is, it really can't be done any other way. Sometimes we absolutely need to reach out and have support and community and these things. But there are certain shifts where it's like, we're the ones that have to go through it to get through it, because we need to understand in a deeper way, and we need to understand our power, which also reminds me so much of Scorpio. Like, how can we reconnect to and reclaim our power? Like, if you don't allow yourself to go down deep, you know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, could be an interesting season, sounds like.
I'm excited for it.
Can you imagine? Who would have ever thought people would say they were excited for Scorpio season?
Anything better than Libra.
I mean,
I had fun during Libra season. Don't get me wrong.
Yes, you actually did have fun.
I did
during
have
Libra season.
I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, you did. Actually. Yeah, so.
I'm glad somebody did.
Yeah. Ooh, honey, it was absolutely something. And I want to say this too, because I don't want to forget, we really appreciate the people who have sent messages, who ask questions, who just share whatever came up for them on the show. And please, you can continue to do that. And we're going to share how to connect with these ladies in a moment as well, but you can email them directly. You can go to their websites. You can leave us messages on social media, whatever it may be. We always respond. So Dee, October, moving into November, what do you have coming up, and how can people connect with you?
I don't know if I have anything coming up. I'm doing the same thing. You can, for an astrology session, DeAndrea at theritualhouse.com or www.theritualhouse.com, and house is spelled Haus. Schedule an appointment there, do distance and local. Come in, get a reading, get yourself prepared for this new year coming up. Especially like preparing for Jupiter leaving Sagittarius and going into Capricorn, getting through this 2 month of Mercury being in Scorpio, figuring out like what season are you in your life? Like, what house are you operating from? What is the theme of your year? What is the theme of this month? Like, how are you making it? How are you progressing through life? We have 12 houses. We spend a year in each house. We repeat the same year. Like, do your due diligence to get through that successfully, productively. So when you come back to that house, you're not dealing with the same shit that was there the previous time you visited.
Yeah. No joke.
I think you both have said that, and I think that has really highlighted throughout this conversation is how can you best utilize the energies that we go through to your benefit and work with them rather than feeling like you're in a fight against them. So it's really, really good. So theritualhouse.com, Haus, And then Ames, what's going on with you and how can we connect?
So we can connect via my website or email. So my website is amysagereiki.com. My email is amy@amysagereiki.com. And I do in-person sessions and also long distance. And then also the next thing coming up is Yolanda and I are doing a medical Reiki training with Raven Keys here in San Diego. And I'm really looking forward to that. It's just going to expand so many things. And I just am really excited about it.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Okay, so amysagereiki.com. And don't forget, this is crystal grid infused Reiki. And you need to show us the grid that you put under the table, by the way. You're supposed to show us. So, yeah, don't forget to show us on the chat.
Well, you just got to come in and look for yourself.
Yeah, they have to come in, but I want to see on the chat.
She's so good. She's so good.
Yes. No, actually, though, I am coming in right before the medical Reiki training. So, yeah. Yes. And so I'm Yolanda, of course. And what is my website? TheEnergeticAlchemist.com. I am so thankful that we got through the 12 weeks of intuitive mastery. I only do that once a year, and
good job.
That is a long one. Whew, it is done.
And it's a good one too.
Yes,
congratulations
so good.
to those people that did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
That's a lot
I was
of work.
so proud of this one woman in particular. I actually spoke to her this morning, and she was like, my sessions have been so different since doing the class and using different tools from the class. So yeah. So people who want to do that, you can still access it through the Patreon site, which you can learn more about on my website, The Energetic Alchemist.
I want to just boost this class real quick because it was, true story, it was the introduction to me in energy work. Like after that, like my first guide came to me, I got like that message. We were trying to what language is this that I'm hearing? You know, like it's just such a great catalyst to understanding what energy is, what energy work is, what intuition is, what just knowing like what your space is. So, I mean,
and having
if you
tools
guys
to
can
work
take
with,
that class.
Yeah, take it. I took it with DeAndrea, so it was amazing. We had a good time in that class.
That was years ago.
Yeah, it was years
probably
ago.
Better now.
One thing it's been updated a bit, but one thing I will say about it, and just being completely honest, you have to be like really diligent in your practice to show up and do this class. Like if you aren't going to take the time to do it, you're not going to get the benefit of it. And there's 12 classes and each one is 90 minutes to 2 hours long. And there's a lot of work. Like you're being guided to do a lot of energy work. There's a lot of work. So
it's a 12-week commitment.
Yeah, it's a commitment for sure. Like, so just want to say that because that's the truth. So as
and
always,
hello shifting.
Honey, won't you do it? Honey, you
want to experience shifting?
Wait a minute. Won't he? You saw that, Gina? I just watched it yesterday.
Oh my goodness.
Do you guys know who he is?
Oh yes, the comedy show. Honey, I fell out when the guy was like, no.
Yes. I don't know if I know.
Oh, Amy will tell you behind the scenes.
Okay.
But that is so funny. Yes, honey. Won't you do it? But what was I gonna say? I don't know. Oh yes, the shifts. Two of the people who just took this last round, honey, during the class, they both transitioned into new careers, new jobs.
Wow.
So, honey, high five up top. Yes, like it was good stuff. So
that's big.
Anyway, we are always so thankful to have this space together and to be able to share with all of you. And again, we look forward to hearing from you. So be sure to check out DeAndrea at theritualhouse.com. Amy at amysagereiki.com. And join me at theenergeticalchemist.com. What were you going to say, Dee?
I was going to say, I wanted to mention, like, if you guys, like, have any questions, like, anything that you, like, need help, like, guiding through, because I I'm trying to do a podcast that is based on, Yolanda says, kind of like a Dear Abby, where, you know, you guys like write in things that you're going through, and I kind of like, you know, just give you a helpful guidance with navigating the situations that you guys are in. So if you guys have any like specific issue that you're dealing with or anything like that, you guys can write it into DeAndrea@theritualhouse.com.
Yeah, and that's a really, really good one. And just so you know, because you all know that, listen, like I'm huge on community. Like that's my thing. Maybe it's my Aquarian nature. I don't know, but that's everything to me. And you could really help a sister out by sending her these questions and messages, because it is going to support her in the podcast that she's creating, which we'll keep you posted with as we get closer to the launch date. So send her the emails.
Mm-hmm.
Scorpio season. Tell us. Take it all in. Is that a wrap, ladies?
That's a wrap.
Okay. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.